Well, hello again. I'm thinking today's going to be a quick video because I don't have like a ton of stuff on my mind, but I've got a question a couple different times this last week, so I wanted to just quickly speak into it a little bit. So the question that I've gotten is homeschooling multiple ages of kids. And this is a very individualized topic because everybody's family, size is different and the ages of their kids are different. But I think it's something that most of us, struggle with. I don't know if struggle is the right word, but most of us have to problem solve because we have, typically we have more than one child that we're homeschooling. So, I will also say, I don't think I'm the authority on this because I have two kids that are 20 months apart. They're very close in age. So, I don't think I'm the authority on this. I think probably somebody with more children that, have homeschooled for a while could speak better into this, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it. And I'll tell you, personally what I do, and then just some food for thought as far as this goes. So, like I said, my kids are very close in age, so I have always used Sunlight, which has a core. Some people call it a spine, depending on what curriculum you use, but basically that your history, geography, read alouds, those things for us science, those are a range of ages. So we're doing core C, which is an age range of 7 through 9, I think it is. And I have a almost 7-year-old and an 8-year-old. So for us, using a core works really well because I don't have to do two different history lessons, two different geography lessons, two different read alouds. I do the same core for both of my children. We do that during our morning time. I read them those read alouds, and then, and I've said this in another video, but then we break off individually. One goes and plays. I work with the other on their level of math and language arts. And then, they take a break, they have a snack, we swap. And I work with the other one on their level of math and language arts. So for us with two kids close in age, that's what works. Now I have friends who have like two kids, but they're pretty far apart. And maybe one of them isn't even ready for formal schooling, maybe preschool level. I would just encourage you to include that child in as much of your morning time as they would be willing to sit through. I don't think you need to do like a special preschool curriculum. When Isla sort of technically started school in kindergarten and Isaac was still even too little for preschool, I used a curriculum called 5 in a Row. Actually, it was called Before 5 in a Row at that time. And it just basically utilized really good children's books, picture books, like good literature. And we would just talk about those stories. And so for Isaac, it was really good at 3, to learn how to sit through a picture book. Which, if you know him, it's funny, he's very low-key and whatever, so that was pretty easy for him to learn. But maybe that's just a good skill for your preschooler to begin to learn, how to sit through a picture book, maybe to answer one question about it so they can begin to learn reading comprehension. Maybe you do a craft and you include that preschooler as much as you can. That kind of a thing. So I wouldn't try to duplicate like a bunch of different things for different age groups if you're in that situation where you have like a legal homeschooling child and maybe like a kindergartner or so. Obviously people have a lot of kids in homeschool. Friends of mine have a lot more, and I would have to speak to them about what they do. But I would guess that it is some form of like doing something together in the morning or whenever, and then, working individually with each kid that's at a various level or groups of kids that are similarly aged. So much of it can be individualized because you have the entire day, you have very few students compared to a normal classroom, and you can work with them on what they want to do. But the main thing I wanted to say about this, and the thing that I told my friend this morning who asked me this, is you have to do what works for you and your family. And there's nothing wrong with asking. other homeschool families, like, how do you structure your day or what's your schedule? But honestly, you have to do what's best for you with your schedule, because I don't know what it's like to have, 2 kids plus a newborn baby. I've never experienced that. And that adds a whole other element. You need to have a lot of grace with yourself if you have a baby or a little one that needs a lot of attention. You're not going to be able to structure your day the same way that I do. Your mornings may be a little slower because everyone, you have so many little ones that you need to be getting ready and feeding. So I would just encourage you, like, don't compare your homeschool to someone else's and feel like I'm failing because I'm not, doing morning time at the same time as someone else's, or I'm using screens a little bit more than someone else does. You cannot do that because you have your own family situation. I mean, this is just an example for us of how our schedule looks different than most people's. My husband is a chaplain, and so Sundays are a work day for him. Now during the pandemic, Saturdays are a work day because that's when he's recording his message and doing various other tasks for the chapel. So, he takes Mondays off of work because he works one day on the weekends. And so Monday isn't a good school day for us. We're spending the day as a family. It's like a weekend day for us. So Tuesday through Saturday pretty much is our school week, and that works really well for our family. Now, we do feel left out sometimes because everybody's back to school on Mondays, and our friends are hanging out and they're going to the park, and we're having a family day, and we're usually doing something, going out of town or going hiking or something like that. So you have to do what works for your family. And, when you have a baby and you've got maybe multiple kids that you need to be homeschooling, maybe the evenings are going to be better when your spouse is home from work, if that's your situation, and they can hold the baby while you do an hour of school with your kids. Keep in mind, because I'm hearing a lot of these questions from moms and dads just starting school, so kindergartners or even first graders. You do not need to do more than an hour of school a day with your kindergartner. Don't. It's too much if you're doing more than that with them. Don't overdo your instruction and your worksheets and your all of these things. At that age, kids need really good books that you might be teaching them to read at that point. I'd spend about 10 or 15 minutes a day teaching my kids to read when they were at that level. Doing some fun math with some manipulatives and playing and, maybe doing some crafts that go along with your book, but really don't overdo the time that you're spending on school with a kindergartner. So maybe that would be an evening thing when your spouse can help, or maybe it's when the baby goes down for a nap. That's when the two of you have school, or, whatever. But the main point of this, and I'm going to be done, is don't compare your school or your schedule with anybody else's. You have to do what makes sense for you. And whatever schedule you decide at the beginning of the year, in a couple of weeks, you might change it. You might say, let's try it this way. That's okay. And then maybe a month later you say, I'm going to try something, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and try things this way. That's okay. Our schedule is ever evolving in our homeschool. So I hope that's helpful and answers that question. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks.